Hey everybody, it's Monday night and we're doing something very special tonight. Our good friend of the show, and well, he's one of the co-hosts, Nathan Thomas Milliner, is going to do a. We're all going to do a live commentary of his fan film, The Confession of Fred Krueger. And if you haven't seen it, you can watch it here. It's on YouTube. He's getting close to 1 million views on the video. It's about a half an hour, and if you're an Elm Street fan, you absolutely must watch this. This is great. I saw this before I even knew Matt. Matt. I almost called you Matt, Nate. Anyway, before I knew Nate, I saw this before. So Nate, why don't you? Here's Seth too. Seth, hi. Uh,
Hey,
why
thanks.
don't you give us a little background in it before we go? Oh, hold on. Yeah, subscribe. Okay, go ahead, Nate. Tell us all about your journey to Fred Krueger, Confession of Fred Krueger.
Um, well, when I fell in love with the films in 1988. When I was 12, and I always drew, so I started drawing Freddy. But I wanted to draw like actual references. Well, back then you didn't have Google Images. You had to,
Yeah, yeah.
Fangoria magazine was about it, or unless you were pausing your VHS tape. And so we were at the mall, and I went to Walden Bookstore to see if they had any Nightmare on Elm Street books, and they didn't. But they had a book called The Nightmare on Elm Street Companion
Oh
that
yeah.
was a making of part one and two, and it had a bunch of great. Apparently, well, the guy ordered it for me. It's back when the guy at the clerk was ordering. Oh, we got this on file. We can order it for you. So they ordered it, got it, and it, of course, had some great black and white photos from the movie, behind the scenes stuff. It was written by Jeffrey Cooper, who wrote the novelizations for the films, and he wrote a prequel called The Life and Death of Freddy Krueger, and it was printed in this book. I think it may have been in the novelizations as well. And I remember reading this and being so intrigued by the story of Fred Krueger and how he became, like, before he died, and when he was a child murderer and all that shit, and the mob hunting him down. But there were scenes in there that stuck with me forever, and I thought, wow, I hope one day they make this or do something like this. And in the movies they showed it a couple of times, like
Kind
prequel
of.
stuff, kind of, but
Yeah.
they changed it, and they didn't really nail it. And Robert always wanted to do the prequel. He was really trying to do it. John McNaughton had written one at one point, and they were going to do that. And Robert was always saying he would return to the character if they did a prequel. So I kept hoping that would happen one day, and then of course they ended up remaking it in 2010. By then I was like, well, that's probably not going to happen now. And one day I was on Facebook and talking about the remake with some people and talking about the prequel that never happened. And I was like, man, it's just a shame. And someone said, well, Nate, you're a filmmaker. Why don't you write a script and, write a screenplay? And I was like, they're not going to give me, like, it'd be a waste of my time. That's how I looked at it. And I said, I'm not going to do that. I'm way too busy, and it would be for nothing. But then it just kept getting to me for days, like, shit. Because I'd been waiting for this thing for 25 years. And I knew what I wanted to see or what I wanted to revisit from Jeffrey Cooper's book. And so I decided, well, maybe I'll get it out of my system and I'll write a short film. I can handle that, just a 15-minute movie as a script, just as a get it out, not really any intentions of making it. Um, and so I thought, well, all right, so if I'm going to tell this big story, how do I fit all of that into just a 15-minute little short? And I thought, well, what if someone's telling their story? What if I want to hear Freddy tell his story, because this is right after, like, The Dark Knight came out with that great interrogation scene. And I always loved, I had watched a lot of videos of serial killers being interviewed, Charles Manson, people like that, and I always found them intriguing. But what really got in my head was in the 90s, there was a documentary called The Iceman Confessions
Oh yeah.
with Richard Kuklinski,
Hmm.
the Iceman, Mafia hitman. And I remember being so intrigued by those documentaries, listening to this guy talk about his crimes, like, just nonchalantly. And I thought, I also always loved Mickey Knox's interview with Wayne Gale in Natural Born Killers. It's one of my favorite parts of that film. And I knew that scene like word for word. I loved John Doe's interview in the back of the car in Seven, where he's talking about why he does what he does.
Mm-hmm.
So I just love those sequences in movies, but I also watched a lot about actual serial killers talking. And I'd studied serial killers and had written one in my book, The Malevolent. And the killer in my Malevolent book was slightly inspired by Freddy. Yeah, him and Ed Gein and Albert Fish and a few others. And so I kind of knew the subject. So I thought, well, maybe he's telling. Before I thought about the confession thing, I thought, well, maybe he's telling his story to a cellmate, right? Talking to one of the guys in prison with him. And I thought, well, no, there's no conflict there. Only thing is, then he probably killed a guy at the end, so the guy won't talk. But I thought, what if he's talking to a police officer? And that's where I thought, yeah, that would be cool, because then you'll have that conflict. And it'll build to something, and Freddy can really fuck with the guy and manipulate him, and I wrote it with Robert Englund in mind, like his voice, his cadence, all that stuff, knowing the character, and so I wrote it, and again, it was just for fun, but I go, well, this is actually pretty decent. I kind of like this, and then I entertained the idea of just shooting it for me, like with my friends. And I just made a movie. This was 2012, and I just made a movie, my first directorial debut. I just finished it, filming that was. And one of the guys in the movie, Chuck Lee Miller, played the serial killer in it. And I thought, well, Chuck could play Freddy. He could pull that off. So I thought, what if you play Freddy and I'll play the interrogating officer? And we'll just film it for fun. I didn't really have a nice camera at the time, and I just thought, well, it's supposed to be we'll make it like a police phone, like the camera in a police station. We'll just put it up, and we'll do it in one shot, and we'll do it one take. We'll practice and rehearse. It was going to be a pain in the ass, but I was never going to show anybody. I just thought we shoot it for ourselves, have fun, do something. And, that never really happened. I met some other people. I met a guy named Harley, who we hung out at a bar one night, and we were talking about doing something together. And I said, well, I got this Freddy thing I was going to do for fun. And he said, well, maybe we could do that. So we started looking, and I was like, well, I don't want to play Fred. Chuck didn't want to play Freddy anymore. And he was getting busy with his job. And so Harley's like, well, why don't you play Freddy? I mean, you know the character. I'm like, well, at that point I wanted someone that looked at least somewhat like Robert Englund,
Yeah.
I said, I'm a big guy. I don't look anything like Freddy Krueger, but I was like, well, it might be fun to play him. And then I said, well, now I need somebody to play the cop. And I had made my first film with a guy named Tom Dunbar. He played a doctor in my first film. And Tom had this great authority, voice, warmth. And now that I'm bringing him up, I had mentioned it on the show. He did pass away like 2 weeks ago from cancer. But I wrote Tom, and he was totally down for it. Thought it'd be fun. And then for like a year or two, I was busy doing art and other films. I was doing the Volumes of Blood movie, did Encyclopedia Satanica. And when I did Encyclopedia Satanica, I worked with a guy named David Bennell, who was my DP, and David and I really clicked right away. David was so talented and so good at what he did. And the film had been pre-cast, Encyclopedia Satanica, and I only got to cast one person in the film. But the person who had been cast as the villain was this kid named Kevin Roach, who was from Indiana, who I didn't really know. And as soon as I saw him, I said, wow, this guy's kind of got a Freddy Krueger look to him, And when I heard his voice, and you'll see the movie if you haven't seen the movie, I was like, holy shit, that voice was not what I expected, but that's kind of perfect. And then I met Kevin, and then I worked with him, and he was just such a fantastic actor. And I really liked him, and we clicked. So on the set of Satanica, we're all the three of us are kind of talking about, we want to make something else together. We really liked each other. We worked well together. Let's make something else. And I said, well, I've got this Freddy thing. And Kevin didn't want to play villains anymore because he was always cast as villains. And
he's good at it.
I said, would you like to play Freddy? He goes, oh, maybe for Freddy, yeah. So we started talking about really doing it just for fun. I said, I've got this art gig coming up. I'll use that money to make it with. It's like $1,000 budget. And, I started thinking about making it. And then I worked for Horror Hound magazine, and they had their conventions, and Nate had talked about, I had moderated a Dream Warriors panel at another convention, and I had talked to Ira and Bradley and Jennifer, and they said that they didn't get invited to conventions much. And I was kind of shocked that the Dream Warriors weren't getting invited to conventions. So I talked to Nathan about Hanneman from Horror Hound about getting
who we've had on the show.
Yeah, and I talked about getting the Dream Warriors. So they really want to do a reunion. So Nate said, well, I'm trying to get England. If I get England, I'll do a Nightmare show. And I figured, he'll have 10 Nightmare guests or something. Turned out it was 25 Nightmare on Elm Street guests. I was like, whoa, like Heather, Robert, just about everybody. And I said, wow. So I talked to the guys. I was like, hey, Horror Hound's doing a huge Nightmare on Elm Street reunion, and I'm pretty sure we could premiere our movie there. So I called Nate and I said, if I have this movie done by August, can I show it there? He goes, yeah, I think people would dig that. So I said, all right, man, we got 3 months to make this movie, and we'll premiere it at Horror Hound at this huge Nightmare on Elm Street reunion, and that's how it got going. And what happened was the first day I was simply going out. There was a guy named Daniel Hyatt who had done the audio on Satanica a couple days, and he told me about this haunted house this old house that he had. And there was a basement. And I thought, oh, well, you need a boiler room. So it was in Evansville, Indiana, where Kevin and David were from. They were both from Evansville, Indiana. And Daniel was as well. So I said, I'm going to drive up to Evans, about 2-hour drive. I said, I'm going to drive up and see this basement, because there was a boiler downstairs, a furnace, all this stuff. And when I got there.
Is it this here?
It's not, that wasn't it. Here's what happened. I said, David, are you off? Do you have the day off? He goes, yeah. I said, can you bring your equipment? And then I called Kevin. I was like, Kevin, I'm coming to town. Are you going to be off that day? He said, yeah. I was like, all right, I'm going to bring the costume. I'm bring all these props and everything. And if it works, we'll do some promo photos is what I basically had in mind. And so I go there, we have lunch, and then he tells me, hey, before you go, a friend of mine in Henderson, which is across the bridge, his family owns these machine shops, these factories. And I thought we may check those out first. And so we went there. And as soon as we walked in, I'm like, holy shit. We put the camera in the right places, because it doesn't look like a boiler room. It's just a factory with all these different types of machines. But I'm like, if you put it in the right place with the right lighting, this could look like the boiler room. This could look like the power plant that Freddie worked at. And so instead of we did two things. We shot my interview for the Scream Queen documentary. If you've seen Scream Queen, Roman's movie.
You did it that long ago?
Yeah, we shot. That's how long they made Scream Queen. Yeah, we shot my interview for that. And then I said, dude, we got enough here that we could shoot. Actually, we shot that on the last day. I'm sorry. But on that day, I was like, I'm telling Dave, I was like, I think we could shoot some shit today. Like, has anybody got anywhere to be? And no one had anywhere to be. So we shot the glove building scene and got some B-roll of the factory. And I think we shot Freddie sweeping. The very first shot we got was Freddie in that wide sweeping in the factory. And then we did him pushing the carts around, a lot of stuff you see in the opening. So yeah, it was just going to be a little scout, really, and it turned into the first day of filming. And I had just brought everything with me, and David had his equipment, and we shot for maybe 4 hours, and got day one. So that's how it went. And there were only 3 other shoot days.
That's pretty awesome.
Pretty quick movie.
So is that this then?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
And this thing is, what's really weird is that red,
Mm-hmm.
That was there was a little room. It was fenced in, and it had that red tarp around it. So as soon as we popped the light on the other side of it, it just gave this red illumination like hell, man. I was like,
Which gives it that boiler room effect for sure.
yeah. So that was just kind of there and luck.
That's cool.
Yeah.
All right, so we're gonna get started with the movie here in a second. Again, I got this new thing, so subscribe to the YouTube channel. Check out if you want to watch it without us talking over it or without Nate talking over it. Confession of Fred Krueger is on YouTube for free, and it's an absolute must watch. I saw it and immediately had to put it on the horrorsyndicate.com because I was like, wow, there's a couple of other fan films that are really good out there, like Never Hike Alone, and then this is the Freddy one. There's a few Freddy ones, but this is the good one, the great one. And I'm not just saying that because he's right here. I talk shit about him all the time, so no, especially behind his back. Anyway, so I got it queued up if you guys are ready.
And everybody feel free to ask questions or write comments because I'll, answer whatever.
Yeah, if you have any questions at all.
If Seth or Ray, you guys have any questions, just fire them at me.
Well, I'm going to take a whiz after I start it. So, had a lot of water, and I had to drink a big-ass glass of chocolate milk. So
I will address the title there for Wes. Originally, this movie started with a disclaimer like most fan films do.
Yeah.
And we were 2 weeks away from the premiere of Horror Hound, and Wes Craven passed away.
Mm.
And I was devastated. I was just like, man, I made this movie kind of for him. This movie is a complete tribute to the original film, not really the franchise, but the Freddy that we got in the first movie and the story we got in the first movie. And I based it on a lot of stuff that Wes Craven had talked about, Robert Englund had talked about, again, what was in Jeffrey Cooper's book. And I wanted to take it back to the original idea of Freddy. That's why he's dressed like Freddy in the original film without the stripes on his sleeves and things like that. The same hat, the replica of the hat, the same glove from the first. And so when Wes passed away, it hit me really hard. And, I just called up David, who was also the editor on the film, and I just told him, take that disclaimer down. And I basically choked up and was crying when I told him, just put for Wes. And that's what we did. And it was...
which has become kind of a almost like a rally cry for Wes Craven fans, and they did it in Scream 5. It's a touching tribute for people who do love Wes Craven, which I know you do.
Yeah, there were 3 people I wanted to meet in the horror industry when I started doing cons. He was the only one I didn't get to meet. And, yeah.
Who are the other 2?
The other 2? Oh, yeah. Okay. John Carpenter and Robert Englund.
Ah, okay. Did you meet Carpenter?
Yeah. Met him in 2010.
Look at Seth grinning over there. Did I see that desk race? Okay.
Well, when Carpenter gave me a buzz, like, oh shit, and I was talking to another guy that ran conventions for years, and he had just met John, and we both had that buzz, and we're like, man, it's like, what is this? Like, we've met celebrity after celebrity after celebrity, but we don't feel like this normally. And he was just like, because we just met a real legend, man, like a real genius.
Horror master. Yeah, I'd like to meet him someday. I'd like to ask him, say, hey, Escape from New York was really great. What happened with Escape from LA? No, I'm joking.
Fuck you.
Fuck you. God, you have one question to ask John Carpenter, and you do that. So anyway, so let's get this party started. And again, if anybody's watching, leave a question for Nate, and he'll answer it. I'm gonna let Nate lead this show anyway, but I'll put the questions up on the board like I normally do, like that. But I'm gonna start it, and I'm gonna go take a quick pee. Okay. I know I keep saying that, but all right, you ready?
Sure.
For Wes.
Now, originally the opening was supposed to be loud, isn't it?
Oh, can you hear it?
Real loud.
Can you turn it down a little bit?
Yeah. Probably turn it down, way down.
Well, how's that?
Yeah, that might work. The original opening was supposed to be inspired by Wes Craven's story about when he saw the hobo walking down, looking at him from the sidewalk. If anyone's a big Nightmare fan, will know that story. I wanted to do that, but the house we were shooting in, they had an upstairs attic window in the front that the kids were going to be playing trick or treat or hide and seek, and look out the window and see Freddy looking up at him. I was going to do the same thing as an homage to Wes's inspiration for Robert or Freddy, and the window was nailed shut, so we couldn't do it. I had to improvise and change it to this.
There's a Freddy's Return, a Nightmare Reborn, and the camera quality is so bad it's pretty much unwatchable, like a 90s era camcorder. Okay, well, enjoy this.
Okay.
This is good. I'll be right back.
Yeah. So
go ahead,
the house we shot this here was an old house that David was renting at the time, and it's in Evansville, Indiana. And it's actually the same street that the Roseanne house is on, because I think the creator of Roseanne lived in Evansville, Indiana. So about 2 houses down on the opposite side was Roseanne's bars, like the show Roseanne House. You always see them when they have an exterior on the show. So this was like, yes, a lot of the first day stuff. This was in the backyard, and there was actual little bird bath back there. I had Freddy washing his hands after killing the boy. Alleyway behind this house. And Lido Villa. I said it in 1968. There's no real. Well, it's set in 1974, actually. I don't know. We may need to turn that down even more. I don't know if anyone can hear me. Seth, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. There's Tom. Rest in peace, Tom, man. He was a good dude. He really loved this film and really believed in it. He was a big champion of it. This is actually in a radio station in Owensboro, Kentucky. PJ Starks, who was one of the producers on it, got us this location. And like all those, here you're trying to make it 1974, where those were like big dry erase boards back there on both sides. So I had to cover it with all the like maps and wanted posters of like Zodiac and all kinds of shit back there. And the guy bringing him in is Todd Reynolds, who I had worked with on Encyclopedia Satanica with Kevin. He was a librarian. And I really liked,
the Irish guy?
Yeah.
Or what, English, whatever he was?
He was Irish.
Yeah.
When we met at the library, I was on a scout. He wanted to meet me and hang out with me. And I kind of have an idea of him having an accent. And he pulled out the Irish accent. And the other guy in the leather jacket is Steve. He owns a bar. He's a big horror fan. He runs a bar in Louisville. And
do I get a cup of coffee too?
Get him a cup of coffee, Jim.
Thank you, Jim.
Don't say my name, you piece of shit. Detective.
Mr. Krueger, my name is Lieutenant Thomas Russell, the Springwood Police Department.
Some things are.
Yes, can
There
we
was
see it?
a modern thermometer on the wall back there with the.
Just so you know, this conversation.
Well, what year is this supposed to be taking place?
1974.
Dude, please send me a copy.
1974, so
will
10
you?
years. Well, no, the first movie takes place in 80, doesn't it?
Yeah. So
Fictional.
I said it. Well, I think I took it as 1984 because
Spell Krueger.
that's when the movie came out.
Well, they mentioned in the second movie that it's 80,
E
right?
G.
I don't
Nancy's
think-
Diary.
Did they?
I think they did.
Place of residence.
All I know is some people were arguing one day. I was like, well, there's this police synchronicity poster on Nancy's wall in the first movie, and that's a 1983 album. So, and I doubt Evil Dead was playing on
Oh, there you go.
television in 1980.
Plus, they're watching Evil Dead, which came out in 1981.
Yeah.
30 or so.
Yeah.
Did your parents ever have a birthday party for you?
But
Mr.
I
Underwood
was going off of
repairing
what
aisles.
Glenn's dad says. He goes, "This reminds me of 10 years ago," and I think a deleted
have a first
scene.
name.
Or, I don't know. It's in the deleted scene or it's in the
This
main
was
movie.
all I was ever allowed to call
I think it's a deleted scene.
Yeah, he says something about this reminds me of 10 years ago. So I was like, well,
Hell,
let's make it
man.
1974
it.
because
I wouldn't know, officer.
I mean they changed it in later movies,
Well,
made it
that's not
68 when he
fine.
was arrested,
in his chair in his den.
and I thought, well, that makes him
So you ran away then.
like
No. I
he's arrested in
walked away
'68.
right after
He
I
was
lit
born in the
place
40s.
on
That means he's like in his early mid
You said
20s.
you set the place on fire.
fire. Yes. That is what I said.
And Wes
Tell me
wanted
you
Robert
murdered this
Freddy to
Mr.
be an old
Underwood.
man, so
I really couldn't confess to such a crime, officer. I'm simply stating I don't know if he survived or not. I just split it up.
He's so good in this, Nate. Kevin.
oh yeah.
Where
I mean,
was this? How
one
long
time we
ago?
were sitting behind Tom shooting. I can't
14
remember what
years
scene it
ago.
was, but
And you have no
I was
idea
so
what
wrapped
I
up in what
got.
Kevin was doing,
don't
I
really
forgot to
care
say
about
cut.
which, no.
And me and one of the PAs he looks over at me and we're both like, oh my God, this is
So-
incredible.
Where do you work?
The power plant.
That was the very first shot
How
right
long
there.
were you there?
4
that
years
red
ago, past December.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jim.
Good angle, too.
Jim, get on the phone with Dayton. See if they have any record of
A lot of people
arson.
talk about
14 years
the
ago. Residence of
stuff
Mandy
all over his
Underwood.
face. Well, Freddy was not very hygienic in the original movie, and he didn't have burns all over his body. His hands were really black and from being in the boiler room.
Mhm.
And I also thought, well, if he's going out and hunting kids, because my idea is that he got arrested the night he was out to
Mr.
kill.
Krueger, I'm not going to waste any more time.
He was on the prowl.
He was on the prowl to kill Russell's kids that night, and he got arrested.
Are you the
and
man
he
the
was
press can call in?
Putting grease on his face
Greenwood
later in the
slasher.
movie to hide him.
Sounds like
Self
a
in
bad
the dark.
movie to me.
Are you him?
Do you have a cigarette, detective?
I also chose not to make this. My
You
first
play
instinct
nice.
was to make this Donald
Answer my
interrogate him.
questions when
Mhm.
I ask them,
How come?
and I'll bring you all back.
Well, I was going off the deleted scene where they said that when Marge tells Nancy that she had a sibling, that Freddy had killed basically one of Donald's kids, other than Nancy. And I thought, well, if Donald's kid was killed by this guy, there's no way they're letting him into that interrogation
No way.
That's true. Yeah.
because he would have just killed Freddy. And that's what happens. He bursts into the room. I love my Rabbit in Red homage.
That's a Halloween Easter egg. Yeah.
You need me to
Luke,
restate the
we've
question.
been trying to get on Nate about
No,
making
I'm
Freddy
the man
movie
you're
with
looking
Kevin
for.
as the Bird Freddy, the Nightmare Man.
So you're confessing.
I wrote one,
20 kids.
but I wrote a sequel to it, but I just decided
Is that how many I'm up to?
I wrote this because I always wanted to see this story. And
Mr. Krueger,
Call me
the
Freddy.
only reason
I'm
to
not
do
sure
a
you
sequel would
understand
be
how
just for
serious
more
this is.
attention and
I'm
shit like
asking
that, which
you
I was never
if you are
interested in.
the Springwood
I didn't
Slag.
submit this movie to film festivals. I didn't, do anything with it. I didn't try to pitch it to New Line or Time Warner. I made it for fun.
What journalists
and
and news reporters call you in the media, but then again,
While it would have been fun to
who's
make a
following
sequel,
me?
the sequel was motivated more by seeing Kevin do it again and giving Todd's character more to do. There's my daughter Lily, my wife.
How young Lily was there.
Yeah. 14 now.
Yeah, now she's a teenager.
Here she has a little yellow dress. These kids, they just were obsessed with being around Kevin, wanted to see the glove.
Oh, you got a Reds helmet. You have the Ohio connection.
It's Ohio, yeah. That's why I had the Reds. And yeah, a lot of thought into the props, and there's a lot of story.
The costuming's good, too.
It's funny, though. I had told them all what to wear, and we shot the alleyway scene first.
Tell me, detective.
All the kids basically looked exactly the same. White shirt, plaid shirt, jeans.
What do they know about being
Taylors.
poor? Those poor little children were walking around without the first clue what poor is, what pain is. Brats, piggies. They had every privilege the world
Kevin said he
had to
didn't even
offer.
recognize himself when he watched
Their whole lives ahead of them. They had a future.
Did that anger you?
Your head shrinker.
It was fun having him on the show
just a
back in
detective.
2020.
I'm just trying to help you.
I don't need your fucking help, asshole. I've never needed anyone's help in my entire life.
Watch your mouth.
I'm sorry, officer. I guess I have just a little bit of anger in me.
Why are you angry?
Do you have a mommy and daddy, detective?
We're not talking about me here, Fred.
I pulled Freddie's motivations from what Robert Englund said he used as motivation. He said he was in the makeup room putting all that shit by David Miller. And Heather and Johnny came in to get their makeup, and he goes, here are these two. Robert was like 33, 34 at the time, B actor. And here were these 20-something, like 20-year-olds, beautiful, young, whole career ahead of them, sitting there getting their beauty makeup on. He said, I'm going to use that. So he resented them a bit. He resented their youth, and he thought Freddie hates youth. And that's why he does what he does.
I remember being treated like I was a piece of shit. Okay, didn't count. I was a loser. I was a waste of space. The orphanages they herded me in and out of were prisons.
In the short story, the character Alice Cooper played, which is taken from that short story, was a pimp.
My whole life.
And,
he was?
And Freddie would sleep with some of the girls and all that, but he would get beaten for it. And the razor strap and the straight razor and all that was in the short story.
And the day you brought me in, I brought you in.
And he paid an arsonist to burn the house down while the mailman was inside.
Aren't you smoking? Huh? You were so hard up for a smoke, and now there it sits right where I left it.
I'm saving it.
For what?
For the opportune time.
So when did this Underwood character come into the picture?
He worked as a janitor for one of those hellholes. They had me locked
Eric
up.
Huskisson, Blood Moon Pictures.
So that he'd take me
playing
home. They paid him to.
Mr. Krueger.
Didn't matter to them that he was a violent drunk or that he was.
That was like the last stuff that was shot, I think, in the film.
That asshole used to beat
stuff
me
here
every night. He had this old leather razor strap. I still got the scars on my back.
I have a picture of me
he
like
was
smacking
especially
her.
worked up. He'd take his razor to me.
Because that scene in Volumes of Blood.
Did you ever tell me about the abuse?
No.
I gotta say that was PJ's
The
best
cops.
performance ever.
Don't be so dim. One of his best poker buddies was the chief of police, and that bastard was worse than
So a lot of people are like, well, why does he confesses? Why would he confess? Well, Freddie wants to brag. He wants people to know what he's done, but he's got a whole plan to destroy the evidence,
sexually
to get this guy to hit him.
I learned pretty quick
Jim's already hit him.
that the world was cruel and
So
unfair.
he's just going to play victim
The
and
only thing one had
beat it
to
out
look
of me.
forward to was the pain.
I didn't really confess.
It's the only time I ever actually felt anything, ever. You sort of learn to embrace it, make friends with it. Once you understand how to love it, then and only then can you begin to understand why someone would want to be.
People laugh at a little boy playing with the G.I. Joes. Those are G.I. Joes I got I borrowed from a place called Elite Toys here in Louisville.
Fancy words, detective.
And
I enjoyed.
had the little boy. He didn't want to do that scene. He wanted to go back inside and play WWF video games. and it was really hot out there. And so it's like he never had action figures before. He's like doing all these weird stuff. You watch the beginning, like this kid's never played with these things before. And it was so hot, I was like, fuck it, we got it, let's go in. It was like really miserable outside.
You mean humans?
It was like July,
No,
August.
people just playing video games nowadays.
Almost daily. Why? Because I wanted
Lisa
to see
Duvall did the makeup on this. She made that little dead cat out of like a stuffed toy.
Carry over to your human victims.
Lisa was the one who worked on Halloween Kills with Christopher Nelson's team doing the makeup. Really? Yeah.
Why did you?
That's
She
cool.
worked on Satanica. She worked on this, and she did my Christmas segment for Volumes 1
Any
and
word
2.
on Dayton?
Fear for all sinners, isn't that what
Not
it is?
yet.
Fear for Sinners here. Yeah.
Fear for sinners.
The only shot you see of the wheel of the tape spinning because the thing was really fucking loud. We couldn't leave it running while we were filming. But David was smart enough to grab these inserts and pop it in there.
What's in the bag?
It's in the box. I told Kev, I was like, you're tapping your fingers, man. You want it.
Report
You want
said
it.
this was found in your workshop.
My friend.
So this was the first day filming the glove building scene, which I put a lot into. I hunted down stuff that was in the film, in the shots. There's a high voltage sign from a 1930s railway that's in there that I found on eBay. Brian Mills made the glove and the glove pieces.
You still have all that stuff?
Yeah, I still got it all down in the basement somewhere. The ball peen hammer I used in the new movie. There's a little yellow cup that I spotted in Freddy. So people say, well, where's Freddy's wife? Where's his kid? Well, in the original film, there was no child. There was no wife. Freddy lived in the boiler room. When you see his house, well, not his house, but where he stayed in the boiler room, where he built the glove, his bed's in there. And if you get the Never Sleep Again book, there's photos of Freddy's cot in his bed. If you watch that cup right there is in the shot. I found it on Etsy. It's from the 50s, I think, like a weaning cup. And if you look at the book, you'll see in the deleted scenes where Freddy's building his glove, there's a shot where he takes the brown paper bag and puts it on the bed. And Nancy finds the crucifix on the bed.
That would answer your previous
at the end of the
question,
film.
officer.
You see that, but there's never any wides. But that's Freddy. That's where he slept. That's where he lived.
First time I killed a child.
I'm gonna make a fan film
friend,
of
there's your
Freddy's
answer.
life from Freddy's dead
I'm listening.
and shaking the shit out of his
In the
wife.
years between walking away from
You
Mr.
don't belong
Underwood
in
and
this
going to work
movie.
at the power plant 4 years ago, I spent several years living as a hobo.
Well, I'd heard through the grapevine that Wes
I came to this town with no money.
said no, Freddy did not have a family.
And no
My
future.
vision.
Keep
This
saying
guy
that
doesn't
word.
have.
Future.
He doesn't have the
What does
capacity
that
to
word mean
love.
to you?
And a lot of people say, well, he
Has no meaning.
that building got tore down,
I
unfortunately,
was
right
never
after he shot.
given a chance at a future.
To no one's borough.
Day one, I was destined to be no one.
We are what we make of ourselves.
And I made myself the Springwood Slasher.
So you're living on the streets.
One afternoon, I was sleeping in an alleyway.
Now, this was straight from the book. This was what stuck with me forever. It was how Freddy came up with the idea of his glove.
The very one.
He was sleeping in an alleyway. These
Spent the
5
day
boys
begging, and I scrounged up enough money to buy myself
were
a
trying to
bottle
steal
of
his bottle from him, and he caught one of them and killed him with his
passed out in the
razor.
alleyway, and I awoke.
And he saw the 4
5.
boys getting away, so he made 4 cuts
Decided to steal
in the
that
boy's
bottle.
belly, and that's where he got the
Pathetic
idea for the
excuse
glove
for a human being
in Jeffrey Cooper's
laughing
short
at
story.
me. They were spitting on me. I snatched one of them by the pant leg. The other 4 ran away.
This was shot in an alleyway in downtown Owensboro, Kentucky.
I liked that.
Home of Johnny Depp, actually.
They were afraid of it.
So it was the fear.
It gave me power. chance to do that.
You go,
Without
Nate. Did you read
thinking,
this
I
comment?
smashed that
Thank you,
bottle
great
over the little
culture.
brat's head. He stopped fighting and screaming, and he fell to the ground.
That's Lisa's son,
I
Treg,
looked down
the makeup artist.
Oh, the white flesh of his exposed belly. The sounds of the other 4 boys running made me catch a glimpse of them running away in that beautiful, perfect fear.
You know, Wes wanted to create
Fire and
the most vile human being alive. He's a child molester,
hated
child
them.
killer, and I just
I
thought
wanted to hurt them all.
that had been lost. And Wes
We
felt
had
that, like when
one.
he made New Nightmare, he made that commentary. You know, that when they go to the talk show and all those kids are
Straight razor.
wearing Freddy masks and pajamas and cheering,
the
and
same
like
razor that I took.
Wes
from
was
his
disgusted
drawer the
that
night I
his character
stole his
became a
house
hero
flame.
or an anti-hero.
And I
Because this
got
guy was supposed to be the sickest
Poor
fucking piece of shit ever. And I thought that had gotten lost in the
Boys
films.
exposed
And the
belly.
first 2 movies, that's who Freddy
Poor
was.
little
And that's what I wanted to take it
Poor
back to.
little piggies that got away.
Bobby Lane.
It was then that I decided.
Well, Freddy kind of gets
I
sentimental
had
or
a
talking
future
about being
now.
a victim or being abused and all that. He
My
was.
future was robbing the perfect little children.
But in
of
my
spring
mind,
theirs.
Freddy is he's not someone you want to take word for word that he's telling you the truth. He's manipulating Russell the whole time.
No future.
He's enjoying
Right
every
on,
second of
officer.
this.
You might like it.
Who are you?
And this was a
I'm nobody.
Charles Manson quote from one of those interviews of his. I'm nobody.
A bum. A hobo. I'm a boxcar and a jug of wine. And a straight razor if you get too close to me.
When I heard Charles Manson say that, I thought, oh wow, that's Freddy Krueger.
What compelled you? I grew to love the fear. The second one, little Sandy.
Sandy Gray?
Tina's sister.
Oh, I took her.
The
to
boy
my-
in the alleyway is Rod's brother, older
At the
brother.
power plant.
Rod
Yes,
Lane's older brother.
the noise.
I wanted to ask you about that because I know we've talked before where you say where you understand where that deleted scene was kind of cut because
Important to my
no
process.
one no one talks
Was
about
my
the
friend
having
there.
someone
Yeah, how do you
So-
just erase your child?
right. So why did you make the decision to utilize that plot point for your film?
Well, I always felt, even though he made the decision not to put all that in there, John Saxon and Ronnie Blakely are playing the movie like they had a child that was killed by this guy. So I felt like even though he cut it out, it was still their motivation for their performances. And I just wanted to, whatever I'm doing, it's an alternative creation. So I thought I'm going to use as much from the deleted scenes and the original ideas and concepts and from Jeffrey's book as I can. And so I went with it.
Well, I mean, I really like it. I like that deleted scene. I like that plot point, and I really love how you used it in this film. So,
Thank you.
but I just know that from our previous conversations about this, you agreed with the decision to cut it from the actual film. So, just wondering.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of.
You like to know.
At the end of the day, it's fantasy. You're trying to be realistic, but at the same time, none of this
You
is
should have
realistic.
heard her screams, detective, when I put her in
Like,
the fire.
Of course, this guy was probably, and I wanted to do, I would love to do a Springwood TV show where Freddy is a suspect, but there were probably lots of suspects,
I'd
and he
love to
had
watch
probably been brought in
things burn.
before. This was not the first time he'd probably been suspected.
He's probably like the guy in Mayberry that keeps getting brought Otis because he's drunk. The bones.
You're gonna burn for what
Crazy Ernest.
Yeah, but they can never pin anything on him. That's yeah.
I'm gonna be. I promise you that.
Jim, I told you not to in the building. You killed my ankle. You killed it. You're fucking
Top.
dead. Daddy can't
This is
help
Donald.
you now. Fucker! I'm gonna kill you, Donald. You killed my ankle. Fucking dead.
Lito Velasco, who did the score, threw in a little Elm Street 2 touch in there because he says, Daddy can't help you now. from the stairwell scene. That's what that line's supposed to be about.
When he reveals to Jesse that he's got the body.
Yeah.
She had curly brown hair and a little white dress.
And he's talking about Nancy's
I remember Sarah.
Sister.
She was one of my favorites.
Shut up. I've heard enough.
But I have so much more to tell you.
Tell it to the
That's
devil.
Kevin's favorite line.
Where's this room?
Jim, get in here and haul out
It's
this.
at a radio station
I want him
in
gone
Owensboro.
now.
Do you know where your children are tonight?
It's a meeting room for them. They had a big table in there.
What did you just say to me?
Little Andy and Blue-Eyed May. Do you know where your children are right now?
How do you know my kids' names?
Because they were supposed to be victims 21 and 22.
That's the stunt glove. I wanted to throw the stunt glove in there from part 1 where the fingers aren't attached. So I thought, well, this is all in his head, so that's the place to put it. It's not real.
Son of a bitch! Stand down! You're trying my kids! Stand down, goddammit!
Kevin is really good. And Todd, I love Todd as well. But people are sleeping on Kevin Roach, man. He should be in Hollywood.
Yes, he's in your new movie too, isn't he?
Yeah, he's plays Lance Bukowski in my new one, where I didn't make him a villain. I told him I'm going to write you a guy who's not a bad guy. So I wrote the part for Kevin. He basically plays big fan of like urban legends and saying he's writing a book. He's an outsider in a small town.
He also played in Volumes of Blood with you, didn't he? The second one.
Yeah, in the second one we play kind of ourselves.
Yeah, the fanboy.
But we're like haters. We're like,
Yeah.
Did you ever hear Dream talking?
He's in 13 Slays, I know, also.
Did
in one of the
ever
segments
see
from that.
Dream
He's a good actor,
through?
man.
he's in Harvest Lake, which is really a good movie.
Oh, he is?
He's him and Jason Crow kind of hook up in the movie.
I did.
He's been in a few things. 3 Tears on Bloodstained Flesh, but he directs. He does a lot of stage work. He directs theater, stars in theater.
I turned my light out while I was watching it. There it is. Oh, look. Lily and Brenda Milliner. What is this song?
This is from a band called shit. Wow, am I blanking here? It's at the end. It's called Terrible. And I first heard it with a cover of Harley Poe recorded a cover of it. And they're a band out of Indiana that I like. Mm-hmm. And so I wanted to put it in there, but I wanted to get Roman did the sound mix on this. So the band is called what's it called? Tiger Lilies. Tiger Lilies. So I contacted them just to get their permission, even though, this wasn't being sold or anything, but
yeah,
YouTube is very particular about music.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I contacted the Tiger Lilies about using the Harley Poe cover of their song, and they said, "We'll give you permission. This is really cool, but we want you to use our version." So that's how that ended up in there.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm glad we got to watch this. No. Except for a stuffed one.
There's one little thing at the end about Rent, I think. No actors from the film Rent appeared in this film. when
Why'd you put that in there?
when I announced the film and I announced Kevin as playing Freddy,
Yeah.
people didn't really know who Kevin was, and people started suggesting other actors. Oh, you should have got. Oh, I forgot about this. The Nancy scene.
Tina.
So that was my cameo. I said Nancy and did the Freddy laugh at the end.
Awesome.
But yeah, I wanted to have Nancy in there somehow, and really that was more inspired by I've been friends with Deandra Lazor for since she was 16. I met her at a convention, and yeah, Steve Vessel played the cop, Louisville Gore Club. So anyway, Deandra was going to do that. Was going to play Nancy in this little cameo, and
she's played Nancy a lot too.
Yeah, she played her in. They did a movie called "Don't Fall Asleep," which is a Nancy fan film, which is really good. And they just made this film called Fred Heads, which is a documentary about Nightmare on Elm Street fandom.
She's one of the main contributors to that, isn't she?
Yeah. So I end up using another actress. It's the kid who plays Little Freddy. It's his older sister.
Good for that short scene.
Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah. But you're kind of a jerk leaving a stinger like that for us, wanting to see more of your have Kevin as Freddy, and
Yeah, I mean, originally I was going to put the stunt mask on him because I have the stunt mask that they use in the original movie, like a copy of it. David Miller.
Oh, you do?
I bought from him, and I figured he'd be far enough back where you couldn't see it, but it'd still look like Freddy. But I went all the way to it was Henderson again, and I went all the way and forgot the mask at home. So I was like, well, let's shoot him in the shadow. That'll work. And,
it still was a pretty cool scene.
Yeah.
I actually forgot that was in there till just now.
Yeah, I completely blanked on it. It's been a long time since I watched it. I don't really keep up with the, I don't read the comments or views. I don't really pay. Every once in a while, it'll come across oh, wow, we're up to 900,000. Wow. Because you said something like a week or so ago about it. You're 900,000. I'm like, really?
Yeah.
Last time I looked, it was 800 or something. So, yeah, people. The Rent thing was Kevin. People were suggesting other actors that I should have got. You should have got this guy, and you should have got Roberto, and you should have got. And I said, well, Kevin's a really good guy. I was waiting to say it, and someone. I think they thought he looked like Anthony Rapp from Rent or something, the redheaded guy from Days of Confused.
No,
or
I don't think he does.
No, I don't think so. Or maybe it was a gay joke or something. I don't know. But we threw that in there to fuck with one of the haters. I did write a sequel. It was called Fred Krueger is Dead. And I did do a comic book version of it that's on the Facebook page for Confession of Fred Krueger. I didn't completely finish it, but most of it's on there. I was doing that for fun just to get it out. But the sequel is The Night They Burn Freddy. And I kind of described it as Nightmare on Elm Street meets 12 Angry Men. It's basically at the boiler room, set the boiler room, and all the parents have gathered. So we've got the Thompsons, we've got all the parents from the Dream Children, Dream Warriors kids. We've got all the parents from the first movie there, and they've gathered. And I made Kristen's mother, and Kristen's dad was the mayor, is what I made him.
Oh.
Mayor Parker. And so you had Rod Lane's dad, you had Kincaid's dad, you had, everybody's parents there. Not all of them, and so, I just wanted to, what happens is the cop, Tom Russell, has tied up Freddy to a chair in another room. And it's a bit like also that movie. That's a 12 Angry Men, but it's also a bit like that movie Lady Vengeance, where a girl's getting revenge on her husband, who's a child murderer, and she invites all the parents to come. The kids he killed, and gives them opportunity to go in there and stab him, torture him, kill him, whatever.
Mhm.
She leaves it up to them to do that. So I thought it would be interesting to see Freddy tied to a chair and these people basically arguing over, is this right? Should we do this? And you're going to have conflicting things. People are going to like, I mean, most people aren't up for torturing and killing somebody, even if he did what he did. There's going to be some conflict. And then you've got police. You've got Donald Thompson there. You have Russell there. Jim, the one who was beating him up, is there. And so it's this kind of whole drama where they're just trying to debate on what to do with Freddy. And then when they finally go in to talk to Freddy, Freddy really fucks with them, mind fucks them, and tells them, like, you know, your kids called for you when they were calling for you, you know, and you weren't there. And, you know, just turning that knife on them. And like, and it's all your fault. You knew I was out there. I was out there for 5 years, but you were too busy watching your TV shows and having your little Tupperware parties and all that. You let them right into my hands, and you just really giving it to them. And Freddy's like enjoying, even though he's facing death, he's still stabbing back at them and tormenting them and laughing at them. And
which is so him.
Yeah, and it would have been fun. What happened was, like I said, I thought, why am I going to make this? First of all, I paid for the first movie out of my pocket, and Tom Dunbar ended up splitting the cost on his own. I didn't ask him. He just said, "Hey, I like this movie. I believe in it." He knew it. You know, it cost money to make, and he said, and he had it. And he's like, "You want to go halvesies?" I was like, "Yeah." So he became an executive producer as well. But, you know, I made this as a gift to myself. Basically, I said it's like buying a tattoo or whatever, or buying stuff. I made a movie with my money as a fan.
Mm-hmm.
And again, it was my money, you know. And but it costs a lot. I don't just have $1,000 laying around. And I happened to have at the right time, and I had a job, and I got that money and made it. But I knew that the sequel, because of the size of the cast alone, because it's all those parents, you know, it was probably a cast of 20, 30 people. Maybe not 30, but about at least 20. And like getting all that cast together to do this big, I mean, it's almost like a stage play. It's almost how it played out, like 12 Angry Men. And to have the time and have all those people lined up, and who knows where I'm going to cast them from. I may cast them from all over the place. And something like this, again, it was like a play. It's going to require some rehearsal. I might have to have rehearsals and things. I had one rehearsal on Confession with Tom and Kevin. And so I thought, man, there's so much. And again, it's just a fan film. It's, you know, I'm not going to make any money back on it. It's going to cost me more to make this one. People said, well, you could crowdfund it, man. People would give you the money because everybody loves this and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, I just don't want to do crowdfund. I don't want to get other people to pay for this.
Mm-hmm.
And I just didn't want to do it. And then again, I thought, well, what's the reason to do this? Like, the only reason to do it is to perpetuate the attention that the movie was getting. And I didn't make it for that reason. I just didn't see any benefit. I was like, I'd rather make original films. I had original films I wanted to do. I was making Volumes of Blood 2 at the time. I had this On a Dark and Bloody Ground script I was writing at the time. I started writing that before he made Confession of Fred Krueger. So I had other things I wanted to do. And I really, and you know, the backlash you get for making fan films too. People are like, why don't you make something original? It's like, that really fucking pisses me off, because I'm like, first of all, this was like my fourth film or third film. Like, I'd made original films. I published many original comic books. Like, I don't need to feed off of somebody else's creation. It's just, this was for fun. So
I wonder if Vince deals with that a lot.
I'm sure he
But-
does. I'm sure he gets it all the fucking time. Why don't you do
Yeah.
your own thing? And Vince, I've done work. I did a poster for one of his original ideas. He's got original ideas. Anyone
Yeah.
who's as good as Vince is has fucking original ideas, and can do his own thing. But he probably came up with this really great idea for a Friday the 13th movie, and thankfully he went with it
And
because
he's
I think it's
passionate about it too, like extremely passionate about it.
yeah, he knows what he's talking about. He's really passionate about it. And, we benefited from him pulling the trigger on it, but that's definitely, I don't think he wants to be defined by that, and he shouldn't be. And that was really what it was. Like, I just really don't want to make another fan film. And I actually just vowed off, and then I ended up making the Star Wars fan film, but that was more of, I was asked to help. And it was for charity. It was for children's cancer, for a hospital in Louisville, Norton Children's Hospital. Little boy of 16 had died of brain cancer that the 501st were friends with.
Yeah.
And they wanted to honor him. They wanted to raise money for Norton, and they wanted to make this movie in his honor. And they asked if I'd be interested in helping. And I said, yeah, I can help. I didn't know what they wanted me to do, but I'm a kind of all-in guy. Once we had a meeting and I started pitching out ideas, and the three of us were going to write it together. And that was basically what I think my role was going to be, was writing, co-writing. And then within 4 hours, I already had this, I don't know how many pages written, and I'm throwing it to the other guys. And they were like, dude, I've seen your stuff. If you want to just write it yourself, I'm cool with that. And so I started writing it, and then somehow just through the whole thing, I became the director and the editor. And I just jumped in because I got really passionate about it. And that's kind of how it went. But again, it was all for charity as well. So I still love Star Wars. I was working with friends, and we were going to raise money for this hospital. And this hospital had treated my daughter one time. She didn't have cancer, but I took her. It's a really great children's hospital who treated us great, treated her well. So I really believed in the cause, and that was my exception, was to do that. But I kind of sworn off fan films, and because I just have so many original stories that I want to tell that it's just, there's no reason to make another fan film, because it's not mine. It's always going to be someone else's. And, I'm glad that people like this movie a lot.
Seth
I'm proud of it. Okay.
Oh, well, I was just gonna, because I remember not too long ago you mentioned the idea of us doing like a read through of your Fred Krueger's Dead script.
Yeah, I need to post the script. Just put it out there. And to
Just
answer this question,
he's foaming at the mouth right now for it.
and to answer the question about Behind the Mask, yeah, Scott Glosserman and David had done a script for the sequel and could not raise the money to make the sequel. And it was coming up on 10 years, and they said, we just want to get the story out there, because it was the dates, like it had been written for 2008. So things were changing, and he goes, I don't know if this is even relevant anymore. So he hired me to adapt it to a comic book. So yeah, we did that. I don't know if it's available. I know they compiled it into one graphic novel about a year ago, and I did a new cover for that. But I'm forgetting what, I think it's called like the Vernon Farm or something.com. I'm sure if you do search it, or you may have to get it on eBay or something. I don't know. I didn't have anything to do with the publishing or selling of the comic. I just did, made the comic for them. Seth, you got to answer your question. I was cutting you off with that one. Yeah, the script, I don't even know if I have it around anymore.
I know you were gonna send it to me a while ago, and I forgot what happened.
If I don't do something, then that's always something. I answer emails as soon as I can and all that, because I know I'll fucking forget if I don't. Someone like when everybody sends me something like that and I'm out doing something, like, fuck, I ain't gonna remember this.
I hate that. It happens to me too.
What if you do? Because I know you said something about publishing it. What if you do find it and then publish it to ths.com?
Yeah, I can do that. Might as well.
Yeah.
I'd
Maybe a
probably,
special piece of
I'd
art to
probably-
go along with it, huh?
I honestly
Now,
would-
now who's foaming out of the mouth?
I think I'd like to rewrite it just because, I'd been writing for a while, but I've learned a lot about screenwriting in the last 5 years that I'd probably look at it and go, ugh.
It's always
But-
hard looking at old scripts. Like even with my comic scripts, I'm looking like, what the fuck am I doing? Like I'm not the
But
same.
there was
person.
some fun stuff. And again, have you seen the comic on the page, Seth? Have you read the comic book version?
No, I haven't.
Okay. If you just go on the Facebook Confession of Fred Krueger Facebook page, probably 90% of it's there in comic book form, like a comic strip. So yeah, you can read it there.
Shut that down. We'll get shut down.
My wife.
Anything in the works now? I can answer that. He's got a movie coming out called On a Dark and Bloody Ground very soon.
Yeah, on a Dark and Bloody Ground, I was working on it this morning. We were in post. I was doing some last minute compositing to kind of just kind of
we have to go.
cover stuff up. I had a scene in a bar, and there were like Budweiser signs and shit like that. So I had to cover that stuff up. Tommy McLaughlin. I can never spell that man's name. Yeah, Tommy made the best Friday movie. Right,
Yes,
Seth?
he did.
And he's got another script, man. And I'm like, I hope he gets to make that one, because
I
if
do too,
anybody
man.
gets to make a Friday movie, I'd love it to be
Yeah.
him. And part of me was like, I saw someone do some artwork for him. And I'm like, I kind of want to write Tommy up and say, hey, I'm gonna do a poster for you or something.
Let me do a poster.
Because I got to do a poster for Jason Lives for a screening at the Alamo Draft House in Austin.
Which one? Which poster was that?
It was one where Jason's in the rain. He's pulling his mask up,
Hmm.
or he's putting it on. It's when he's putting the mask on.
Yeah.
And Tommy was a guest there, and he loved it, and he wrote me about it. He liked it.
I know you have
They
a
made
few
it-
Jason Lives pieces, don't you?
Yeah, that was my favorite. It was a really cool piece, and it's cool that Tommy got to sign
the
them.
one where Tommy's in the boat and Jason's got. Is that yours?
That's mine. That was for a cover for Horror Hound magazine for the Horror Hound week. Every Horror Hound weekend, they would do a special issue, and
Yeah.
that was for a convention issue where Tommy and Tom Matthews and CJ were there. I don't know if anybody else was there.
Kentucky boy.
On Dark and Bloody Ground. It's the trailer for On a Dark and Bloody Ground. There's 2 trailers. There's a teaser and there's a full trailer.
I wonder if I still have it on here. Because where'd you sent that to me at one point? No, it's not on here anymore. We showed it last year on the channel, but it's not on your Rebel Rouser YouTube channel though. Which
This is kind of my big epic Southern Gothic Kentucky movie. So
yeah, the trailer looks great though. Not like I'm surprised.
We're just waiting on a score. Composer's been really, really busy. And I just had a coffee with him like last week, and we had a really good 4 or 5 hour hangout at the coffee shop talking about the movie and the score.
I only have one video from you, Nate, and it's when we were trying to do ads for the show, and it's the Leatherface one.
That's a Leatherface.
Yeah, that's the only video I have from you. I had On a Dark and Bloody Ground at one point, but I don't remember what folder I put it in. I probably still have it in Dropbox, because I'm definitely going to have to show that again at some point. Would you want to do a commentary on my other channel with your Star Wars sometime?
Sure.
Not really.
Not really. Rebel Rouser's kind of dead. Just my Nathan Thomas Milliner on Facebook. is where
you have a fan page too, don't you?
I have a fan page, but I don't even bother with that because it's, Facebook started making everybody pay for everything. So I post something on there and like 3 people see it. So, and I never really got into it because I didn't I got kind of like the whole fan follower thing. Like I was like, I'd rather engage with people. And you couldn't really engage on a fan page. It was like, I'd just rather be on my page and engage with people and talk about stuff. I like conversation and I like, getting to know people and not making it, hey, be my fan and go to my fan page.
Yeah.
It just feels weird to me.
I mean,
it's part of it. Everybody, the world's full of fucking celebrities now. I was joking about that the other day.
I saw one of the artists that does interior art for my comics. He's got I don't know how he did it, but he turned his page into like a fan page, but it's still his actual Facebook page because he's got like 9,000 followers. So I'm not sure how that works, but he sent you a request. We have mutual friends. Yeah, I have. I think.
Imagine.
Nate, are you ready for this?
Yeah.
Oh god, okay. That was fun. I like that, by the way. That was really cool. As your Texas Chainsaw Massacre fan film right there.
There it is.
You did good. You sent that to me, and I just had a ball watching that the first time I saw it. I was like, oh my god, this is awesome. That was back during the pandemic when we all had tons of time to do stuff.
Tons of time.
Yeah.
Yeah, we didn't. Somebody said we should have 2 shows, or one of the people watching's like, we should do 2 shows. And we're like, fuck it, let's do it. We're all doing anything.
Yeah, we weren't doing anything else. We had to stay inside, and let's do 2 shows a week. We did 2 shows a week. We got through. I was looking at I made a list. I shared it with you guys. We made it through almost 150 horror movies in the last couple years, talking about them on this show. So I guess I can add this to the list.
So any more on Confession? Anybody have any questions, or you guys have anything you want to ask? I didn't know what the hell to say there.
Yeah.
There's a commentary already on YouTube, I think, of me and David and Kevin. If you want to check that out.
Yeah, we're not as special as Kevin for sure. Kevin was on our show in 2020, one of those nights with another guy who's played Freddy multiple times. I can't remember his name. Do you remember his name? Roberto, yeah. And it was a pretty fun show. They both 2 different types of Freddys.
Yeah. They're definitely probably the 2 most popular fan film Freddys. And we were instantly pitted against them. Unbeknownst to me, I didn't know that they had done an interrogation Freddy. That was their first segment. I had only seen their 2nd, 3rd, and 4th shorts. I don't know what happened. We talked about it on the show that their 2nd movie blew up, but the first one didn't. And so I hadn't seen it. And then I found out about it, and everyone started calling me a plagiarist stealing it from them. I'm like, first of all, if anyone knew what the lengths I went to not steal from other people, like not to copy other artists, or like if I had to do a Blu-ray cover, I would Google every piece of artwork that had been done on that movie. So I did something completely different. So I'm like, if you really think I wanted to steal from a fan film, I know, right? It'd be really idiotic. It's just, we had the same idea. it really came from the Iceman Confessions and all that. But I could say that till I'm blue in the face. A lot of people are like, nah. So, and again, they all pitted us against each other. Roberto's better and Kevin's better and blah, blah, blah. And the thing is, me and Roberto were buddies. Like, we talked on like through that controversy. Like, Roberto reached out to me and he was cool. He said it's just parallel thinking. So, Roberto thought it was funny because he became friends with Kevin. And so I thought, no one's ever gotten the two of you together on a show. And let's do it. Let's get. And they loved it. And we had a blast. Good episode. And had fun. The three of us, all of us talking to Roberto and Kevin. And that was a fun thing to bring together because, they're both really good. And they both do very different Freddy's. I mean, Roberto's films follow the Freddy's Dead template of the married man, and mine was the original Drifter. And of course, people debate on which is better, but who cares? It's like these films, fan films are made with love by fans, and they're free. no one's charging you to watch them. So some of them are good, some of them are bad. Who cares? Like, it's fan films to me was all about. We had a blast making Confession of Fred Krueger. It was just that first day shooting and seeing Kevin in this costume in a boiler room, clawing stuff and doing all stuff. It was like Christmas, as a Nightmare on Elm Street fan. And I'm sure Vince had the same experiences making his Jason movies. And
oh my God, have you heard some of those stories? I'm sure you have. Like,
he got to fucking play Jason in his movie. So I'm sure he was like, he got to do it all. He got to direct, he got to play Jason, and playing the Star Wars. I remember doing the Star Wars movie, and me and John Wells walking out to film the first stuff with the stormtroopers, and we're following the 4 stormtroopers out into the woods, and both of us are like children, like, stormtroopers, we're making a Star Wars movie, and it was just exciting. We were just like 7-year-olds.
I wish I would have known you then. I would have come down there and hung out the whole time.
You would have been welcome. We had a lot of the people in the movie. It was challenging because a lot of the movies made with cosplayers, basically 501st people who have tons of money invested into these costumes. And I'm trying to make an action movie with people who aren't stunt people, who aren't actors, and who have very expensive costumes. They don't want to get dirty or damaged. So if you see a stormtrooper get shot and killed or fall down or whatever, it was Chad Zigman in one costume that we had that was constantly being repaired by Don West, who makes a lot of the costumes. Because you see a stormtrooper fall out of a tree, fall out. I mean, it's Chad, who's a stunt guy who looks like Ryan Gosling. If anybody saw that movie Holiday, I think it was Holiday from last year on Netflix with Emma Roberts, there's a scene in the movie where I guess she's obsessed with Ryan Gosling or something, and she's breaking up with the boyfriend, the love interest at the grocery store, and they're in the frozen food aisle. And he goes, well, why don't you just go hook up with Ryan Gosling? And she goes, oh, yeah, like Ryan Gosling shops in the frozen food department at the grocery store. And Chad, who looks a lot like Ryan Gosling, out of focus, walks behind her and pulls out some food. And it's a visual gag. People thought it was Ryan Gosling. There was all kinds of media and all that. It was Chad, who was just working on the film as an extra or something, or doing something on the film. And people kept saying, you look like Ryan Gosling. And he's one of the stars of on Dark and Bloody Ground. He was one of the stormtroopers' main characters in the fan film, but he's also one of the leads in Dark and Bloody Ground as well. Really, really good guy, really talented, good actor, and again, stunt guy too.
You want the video from the 70s and 60s, the top 25? Is that what he's asking?
What's that?
We got Steven asked for the top 10 of the 1960s. We did top 25 of the 70s. I don't know if we did. Did we do the 60s? Did we ever do the 60s?
I don't think we got to the 60s.
Yeah, I know we did the 70s. Unless you're talking about my lists for on the horrorsyndicate.com. I posted this link is that's our conversation with Roberto and Kevin from 2020. It's a definite watch. It's on YouTube too. So check that out. That was from like June of 2020, but it's definitely worth watching. I'll post those links on the Horror Syndicate Facebook page if that's what you're talking about.
And check out all those other Freddy. The Roberto's movies are called the Krueger films. I think it's just called Krueger.
I think that's right.
Yeah, and then Deandra's was Don't Fall Asleep, I believe, and Paige was the director on that, and they just made this documentary called Fred Heads, which I saw the
Is that out
premiere.
now finally?
I don't know if it's out yet. They premiered it at Horror Hound a few months ago, and I went to see the premiere. It's really good. It's long, but it's really good. I'm in it towards the end. I was interviewed for it. But yeah, they did a good job with it. I think people are going to dig it. But it's just about the fandom of Nightmare on Elm Street fans, and they were real passionate. Actually, they were there at the premiere at Horror Hound for Confession. They were dressed like Kristen Parker and Nancy Thompson.
Mhm.
And yeah, it was funny. She was dressed as, was she Kristen? No, she wasn't Kristen. She was Jennifer, and she had the TV, like a TV set.
That's cool.
Paige was, and yeah, they saw the film. Roman was there, Lito was there, Kevin, David. They premiered the Scream Queen trailer right before it. Mark Patton was there for the premiere both nights. We played it twice. And Paige and Deandra decided to make their fan film after seeing Confession. They said, "Oh, I want to do this." So they went and made Don't Sleep Again, named a doctor in the movie after me, Dr. Milliner. The comic sequel is just on Facebook. Confession of Fred Krueger's fan page, I guess it is. You'd have to go
I'm going to
scrolling.
try to look it up real fast.
Yeah, you'd have to go scrolling through it. It was something I had some downtime at my job, and I just started drawing as a strip, and then I got busy and never finished it, but it's almost complete. And it's really fast drawn. It's not like my best work, but I was just wanting to put it out there because I thought it was good. I liked it. I just knew it would have cost a lot of money and a lot of time, and I had other things I wanted to do instead. So
do you have an idea of when your movie's coming out?
no idea at this point because it's, I had 2 conversations last week. I did show a as is cut to my cast and crew, and they really liked it. We showed it at Waverly Hills. They were really excited about it. But I've been waiting on score, so I met with the composer, and we had a 4-hour conversation about it, and we're kind of going in another direction. But we're really eye to eye on that. He did the sound design for a movie called The Dark and the Wicked, which is on, I think, Shudder, or a really popular movie from last year. And after that, the sound design is really fucking phenomenal in that movie, and he's been getting tons and tons of work because of it. But he's been attached to this film since the beginning as a composer. And then I talked to Roman Chimienti of Scream Queen, and he'd done my audio, and he really liked the movie, and we talked for a couple hours, and he thinks that this movie has a lot of legs and is what it will sell very easily. And but Roman's specialty is audio. He does audio for a lot of big films and things, and so we talked about mixing it. So we want the movie to sound as good as it. He said the movie's beautiful. He goes, I'm really blown away by how the movie looks. He said, now when you get that, now that sound needs to be equal to that. and we need that 5.1 audio surround sound to match the images. And so it's just a lot of work to do that. It's just to get all that done, because it's a 2.5 hour long movie, and that's really the thing. It's almost like 2 movies of one. So just a lot of work.
We're excited to see it. I pulled the trailer up. If anybody wants to see it. When we play it,
Go ahead.
I'll turn the volume up though.
I shiver the whole night.
Roman did the audio on the trailer.
Want to hear a scary story?
Well, I guess you're here about that mess we got.
It's an animal of some sort, but not one I've ever seen before.
He believes what he sees is real.
Can you tell me what it is you think you saw?
Tobacco Man?
What is the tobacco man? Reminds me of them damn stories.
I've been researching myths on the dark and bloody ground for this book that I've been writing.
It's Freddie.
Town has its haunted house.
I know there's an urban legend here, something about Moontown and missing children and monsters.
Dale says people still believe there's ghosts haunts that land.
The beast. Been walking this earth since the beginning. Cursed to it. You've been through hell many times, Leslie. There's a whole lot more out there waiting. For all of us.
I'm not sure what happened to the sound, but
I know that guy too.
How can't you see this?
If I accept what this boy believes, I surrender everything that I know. I mean, how does a man make war with the devil himself?
It's easy. You walk out that door with me.
not so soon.
No. You know we're excited for you.
Yeah, I'm excited to show it. Mike Miller. Yeah. Mike Miller.
How tall is he? Because he looks.
He's very.
He looked really short.
Yeah.
Worked where? I've got friends that work there. Might have to ask them how they like it, since I've got to wait. I don't know what he's talking about.
Maybe he's talking about Waverly, maybe.
Oh, the place is cool.
Yeah, I mean, the Waverly people didn't see it. The cast and crew, we screened it at Waverly Hills.
Yeah,
because there was a
2 weeks
convention
ago.
up there, and my producer was putting on a convention there. So,
yeah, my buddy Sean, he was up there, and he wanted to try to get in. He introduced himself, but it was only for the cast and crew. I was like, yeah, he told me about that. He's like, you could have warned me. I'm like, sorry, I didn't know you were going to try to see the movie.
I was wondering. I didn't say anything to him because I went in for the screening and they were sitting there, and I'm like, why are they in here? Like, there was nothing. No one was supposed to know about it. Like just the cast and crew. And,
yeah, sorry about that.
He was sitting there, and I'm like, I don't know what to say. And I knew he was your friend because he had introduced himself. I was like, now I got to go up to Ray's friend and go, hey, get the fuck out of here. If it was just strangers, I would have been like, guys, this is but he was like someone I had actually met. So I'm like,
yeah.
Oh, shit, that's even more awkward. I got to tell him to get out. So basically, I just went and I said, we had to move it because there was too much light in the room we were in. So we were moving into a darker room in Waverly, and I just said, cast and crew, we need to move to another room. So if you're in the cast and crew, just grab your chairs and we're going to migrate that way. So that was my way of like saying cast and crew.
He watches the
So
show.
I don't know if we left them there sitting like.
No, he didn't really say anything about it.
I didn't know what to say because I'm like, this is not for the public. It's like for anybody. This was for people. It was a morale thing. I wanted people who've been waiting, and we shot this movie through COVID and after COVID, and it's just because it's such a big movie, and I'm basically. I was the writer, director. I'm editing. I'm doing the sound design. I'm doing the color, all the compositing, all the effects. I'm doing all that shit. And it's a big job for somebody who has a full-time job and an art career and a kid and a wife and going through shit. Podcasts. Yeah, so it's a lot. But it's really like it's done. It's just I've done so much. Now it has to go to the professionals like my composer and my audio guy, but they're busy people and they do this for a living, and I'm lucky to have them. So it's really more waiting game. But I just wanted to say, guys, this movie's I believed in it. I was like, this movie's good. I want to show you guys what you've done and what it is. And I got really positive comments, people saying they were proud of it. A girl that I made my first two movies with, Melissa, she came up, she goes, I knew it was going to be good, but I did not know it was going to be this good. Like, she was really blown away by it. And,
it looks like something that you'd see, like one of those hidden gems you'd see on Shudder. That's the feel I get from watching the trailer. I don't know if that's not meant to be a bad thing. That's a compliment.
Oh no, that's great. Like
Shudder, how many times have we seen really good movies that nobody knows about on Shudder?
So many movies on Shudder. Like I would love to be on Shudder. I would love to. That's definitely a route that I want to consider. But I don't know. I mean, I'm also very realistic about it. I even talked to my composers. Like there's so many movies made every year, and the likelihood that you're going to make any kind of impression or imprint is very slim. And even people who think they've made an impression, like if your movie's not being talked about at least like once a month in a horror group by multiple people, then you really, I want that. I mean, you crave that. Everybody's talking about. Everybody thinks they're going to make the next Terrifier now. They're all going to have that story, and I'm like, Terrifier is very. Hats off to those guys. That's not easy to do what they've done to get that kind of attention and get that kind of success. And it doesn't come around. I want to be in that House of the Devil zone. That's what I want to be. Like, I want to be like, because House of the Devil's not a mainstream household movie, but it is a movie that horror fans know and liked and talk about. And when it's come up, people are like, oh man, that was a good one. That's all I'm looking for. It's like that. It's in the consciousness in some ways. I don't have any idea that it's going to be a huge hit or anything. Go to theaters. I highly doubt it. But I'm also, again, I'm just really grounded in so many good filmmakers are out there making films that no one ever sees. And it's just the odds are against you. And so I don't put my hopes or dreams into it. I'm like, I made a movie. I'm very happy with it. I'm very proud of it. And from here on, it's like whatever happens. I'm great. My only wish is as many people see it as possible. But, I'm
Do you think you'll get a physical release?
Yeah. Like, I mean, it depends. Like, because that's what everybody wants to know. When's it coming to theaters? When you get it physical? And the thing is, like, you just don't know because, I mean, unless you're doing like, people do the Indiegogos and Kickstarters, and part of it is selling the movie.
Yeah.
We didn't do a crowdfund. Ken and I paid for this out of pocket. So But if we sell it to a distributor or somebody buys it, it's really in their hands what happens if it goes to a streaming service or they put out a physical copy or whatever. So you get those questions you really can't answer. When's it coming out? How's it going to come out? Who's going to do it? It's like you just don't. It's not really up to you all the time unless you just say, I'm going to put it out on my own. And which I thought about. Like I've had a lot of people contact me wanting to look at it, consider buying it, things like that. Just not ready. But there are some distributors I'm like, I have no interest in them. Like I don't. I'd rather put it out myself than go with them. So,
I have one I want to ask you about, but I don't want to do it while we're live.
Well, I'm sure you're talking about Justin. And Justin puts good stuff out.
Yeah,
I would consider Justin. But there's a lot of other ones. I'm like, you just look at the catalog and go, I'd rather.
Wild Eye. You ever see their catalog?
I just do this on my own,
Hey, I got my name on a Wild Eye release.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we did a review for one of the movies, and I my quote's on the back of the DVD, so that's something, I guess.
Hey.
And I got both 1031-2 and 1031-3. I got quotes on
everybody.
You gonna let me quote on your movie?
If you want.
What a pile of garbage! No.
Dumpster fires. Yeah, I mean, I'm sitting here saying that, but at the same time, hats off to anybody who's doing things and putting movies out and getting them released. Again, it's not easy. It's not comics. Yeah, I did comic books. It's not easy. I tell people.
Doing comics now.
It's really hard. Like the Leslie Vernon, you would have thought that would have sold like fucking bread, but it didn't. No one even knows it exists, and it was actually put out by the director, and it's fucking good. It's really is as good. I'm not saying the comic's good. I'm good. I'm saying that the story was as good as the first movie. I really liked the story. It was hilarious. It was really sharp and smart, like the first movie. And it's a damn shame we didn't get the movie.
Love the first movie.
Yeah, it just sucks because it was a strong sequel, but it was very much more ambitious. It took place on a film set. Robert Englund's character would have had much more to do. Scott Wilson's character had a lot more to do. Of course, we lost him. Kane Hodder would have had a part in it, bigger. They were trying to get Tobin Bell in it. They were trying to get to play Jigsaw. I mean, it was like there's a scene where Angela's character goes into Eugene's basement. He's having a card game with the boys, and when he goes down there, it's Freddy, it's Michael Myers, it's Jason, it's Jigsaw, and it's Eugene. And they were going to have Kane play Jason. They were going to have, I don't think Robert was going to play Freddy, but they were going to have, Tobin Bell play Jigsaw. And, that would have cost some money to have all those guys in there and just the whole scope of it all. But it was really fucking good. And it just, I was down to do it right away. I read the script. Well, actually, I tried to talk about it because comic books are hard to sell. I was like, Scott, we're not going to make any money on this. This is not going to, it's really hard to sell. And, it was right. It did, a lot of, people bought it, but, there's still a lot of fans who didn't even know they came out. And the hard part was, I spent years making it and then, not about a year making it. I was doing it as I made the Star Wars fan film, as I was directing and writing and editing that. And so it was a lot of work. And then it comes out and everybody's like, oh, I wish it was a movie. It's like we all do, but it's not. All right. So you either take this or you don't. But it was fun to get to draw Robert Englund and Scott Wilson. And I was able to give Scott one of the original drawings from the comic before he passed away. So
you were able to?
Yeah. I saw him at Horror Hound. I gave him the first image that he's how Scott's character was like in the tank testing his breathing or being dead or whatever. And when they meet him, when they go out, Leslie digs him up.
Yeah.
In the first movie.
Yeah.
In this one, he's hanging himself. So like Leslie goes out there and finds him hanging. So the first picture is a splash page of Scott Wilson hanging like, and they're going to they cut him down. He's like, God damn it, you could have broke my neck. You know, he was in control of it. And
I'd like to read that, but I know it's really hard to find.
Yeah.
I have it in my collection. They should have gotten in contact with Sean from I've Been Pressed. Maybe he could help them a little bit. He's had very much success. I mean, it's mostly Fulci stuff, but still, he's had a lot of success with that. I don't know. Anyway, is there anything else you want to talk about before we sign off for the night? Doggo, is that your dog, Seth? Indigo making noise?
Chloe just barked.
No, it's your dog. Okay.
Yeah.
If not, if there's no more questions for Nate about the movie, we do want to thank everyone who watched and commented, and hopefully you enjoy it. I left the link for it for the full movie without our commentary in the comments. I also left a few links, and the link with Kevin and Roberto's conversation that we had with them a couple years ago. Excuse me, when they talk about acting and playing Freddy. I'm getting tired. I'm sorry. I had a busy day. Anyway, on Wednesday we'll be back again, and you can watch us talk about our second silent film that we've ever talked about, which is interesting. This time it's the 100-year-old Nosferatu. Is it F.W. Murnau? Is that how you say his name?
Murnau, yeah.
Murnau. Yeah, so we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the 1979 Klaus Kinski, Werner Herzog, Nosferatu the Vampire, and I don't have a picture of Willem Dafoe, but Shadow the Vampire as well. Should be a good time. I have only seen both of those one time, so I'm looking forward to rewatching those. Actually, all three of them I've only seen once. So, and it was all in 2019, so it was 3 years ago. So I'm really looking forward to doing that. Yeah, have a good night. Yeah, hey, come back and watch our show on Wednesdays. We have a lot of fun doing these shows every Wednesday. The Howling, do you want us to do that? We haven't done The Howling, have we?
I don't think so.
I'll put that on the list for next. Your work ethic is inspiring, Nathan. We'll put that on the docket for next season, which will kick off in January. Nate's going to be out for a couple weeks, probably coming up. So we got. Did we decide on next week's show? Because we talked about having Roman back on, Roman and Tyler for something, wasn't it? What was that?
Yeah, it was. Shit, I forget. What was it? Black Christmas. They wanted to do Black Christmas.
So that'd be in December, probably.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, I need to give Black Christmas the old college try again. I'm gonna watch all three of them this Christmas. I'm also going to do and please pray for me if you pray. I'm going to do a ranking and rewatching of all the Silent Night, Deadly Night movies, all 6 of them. So pray for me. Anyway, anything else you want to say, Nate, before we head out?
Just thank you to all the people who've supported the movie and told me, how they feel about it, and continue to watch it. And some people say they consider it canon and they put it in their marathons, and that means that I really poured my heart into that one. I'm still proud of it, even though it's a fan film and you get a lot of shit for that. But everyone did great. And again, to Tom Dunbar, who, gave me a great performance. I worked with him 3 times. He was a really good man, did a lot for the community, did a lot for cancer research, donated a lot. When we made Murder, Death, Killer, it was the last time we worked together for Volumes of Blood 2. We kind of had this, we had a real it was right after Confession. We had a real family, me and the cast, me, Tom, Barbie, and Warren all got together at Warren's house and went over the script and rehearsed. And the 4 of us really bonded. I knew all of them, but we were all really bonded, and we had we have this discourse messenger group, and that went on years after Murder, Death, Killer was in the can, where we just occasionally shared memes with each other and talked and chit chatted and joked and laughed. And we had the these running theme jokes that we had while we were making it, and that would go on, like the Spring Breakers, James Franco, like, look at my shit. So me and Barbie were always like, look at my shit. It was just a lot of fun. And Barbie and Warren had really good chemistry in that movie as the two rednecks.
Yeah, they did.
And they clicked right away. And
that was the best segment in that movie.
And the four of us just had a good time. And Tom was just a sweetheart of a guy.
Yeah, he's a hell of a performer too.
He was a guy that I probably worked with more than anything because he loved acting, but he was probably one that needed, he kind of got into it as a fan or something he wanted to do. The thing I remember about Tom was he always went to 11 on everything. So like he would like just start shouting and going. I'm like, dial it down, man. And I remember like when we were doing the character in Murder, Death, Killer, like I went to his house because he was having trouble with it. And we went through it and we were just going through it. And I said, man, we got to find, let's do some exercises. So I said, let's do the scene because we read the scene and he was doing his thing. I was like, let's read the scene drunk. So we started reading the scene and we did the scene drunk. And I said, let's do the scene as if it were a sitcom or something, comedy. And we did that. And then we went through all these different versions just to get him out of his head, get him out, get him to play and find and play around. And then I said, do it as Batman. Let's do it as Batman. And so he did it as Batman. And he already had that gruff, deep voice anyway. And when he did it as Batman, I went, that's it. That's the tone. Like, don't do it as Batman, but that's how you should be reading this. Like, this is how you should be performing it. As it's basically a stoic, intimidating role. Mm-hmm. And he was being real big. I was like, you need to be small. You need to be small but scary, quiet. Like guy who's like all business. So you're being way too big. So it was fun to work with Tom because, there were a couple times where I went to his house to work with him. And he was just always really enthusiastic about acting and just loved it. And that was a fun shoot, that Murder, Death, Killer. And yeah, I'm sorry I didn't really get to see him much afterwards, but yeah, he was a good dude, and it sucks that he's gone, but
cancer fucking sucks, man.
Yeah, fortunately, I've lost a couple actors in the last year, so.
Well, at least we got a couple of things to see him in, and that he just absolutely killed. So he's really good. So, well, again, Nate, thanks for letting us do this. I'm glad that you were able to sit in and do and I will tell you that if for what it's worth, every time I've watched this, it does make me want to watch the original Elm Street. So
I kind of feel like, not to toot our horn or anything, but I feel like you could watch this and the original Elm Street and not skip a beat.
Yeah.
Much more than you could watch Freddy's Dead's prequel part and watch the original and you're like, this is totally different. I feel like we tried to film it like Jacques Haken and try to be as faithful to the original film as we could.
Well, I mean, you said that you got the tone right, and that's very important for the Elm Street, early Elm Street films, especially. And like when we were watching it a little while ago, I got this like, man, I kind of want to watch Elm Street again. And I just watched it the other night because I watched that movie like all the time. It's between that and Star Wars are like my two favorite movies of all time. When I say Star Wars, I mean A New Hope, but so. Anyway,
yeah, like us old timers,
right? Yeah,
it's still Star Wars to me. I don't call
when
it.
I was growing up, it was called Star Wars.
Yeah,
they didn't call it A New Hope until like 1997 or something, or 95. Seth, is there anything you want to add before we head out? Before we see each other again in 2 days?
Nope.
You don't want to say anything nice to Nate and pat his ego? Come on,
I need it.
He needs it.
Not really.
I got nothing.
Okay. All right. Again, Tuesday we'll be doing Nosferatu's. Nosferatu's. And don't forget to subscribe to the Horror Syndicate on YouTube. We've got tons of fucking shows, like over 150. I counted them all the movies that we've gone over. It's a lot. I needed to do it because I keep forgetting what we've done. So anyway, thanks again, Nate. Seth, thanks for hanging out, and everybody who watched, thanks for hanging out. Make sure you go check it out without our commentary because and then watch it. 1984 Wes Craven's A Nightmare on Elm Street because it's the best horror movie ever made. So, in my opinion. Anyway, have a great evening and watch Nosferatu to get ready for Wednesday because I'm going to go do that. Bye.